Well, I'm back at the W&W, a video update. I've been too lazy to update my website, so I thought I'd just go through with what I've been up to for the last 3 months. Quite a bit of change has occurred, but now it's summertime and not much more will get done. Moving around out of Cheyenne's East Yard. Been doing a little bit of plastering. Big thing I've been working on is the upper valances for the layout. They're all in and I'm in the process. I'll be putting a ceiling in them so that I can put LED lights and such. I've worked out the river. It's going to come down through, break up the tracks that leave Cheyenne a little bit. The roundhouse is working well. We've got the tracks in on the far side. And the 15 tracks for this side of the roundhouse will be a little bit later, probably this fall. I've had 4 operating sessions of about 10 guys, and it's worked pretty well so far. Just starting to get the hang of it again and try and remember how and what we did before. As of right now, I'm just handwriting notes for the trains that need to be moved and where they need to go to. The Cheyenne yard only needs 2 more smales, of which I have 1 to install where the pins are, and it will be completely ready for its circuit breaker panel. It's a control panel, not circuit breaker panel. This, if you remember from previous, is a control sheet. There are 4 inputs into Cheyenne. 3 UP tracks and the CB&Q track from Denver, and there are 19 possible tracks that they can go on. So the coding is going to take me several pages on Excel to do. Right now I can run the macros. Each one has a macro associated with it, and or if I just want to look at the individual accessory number or name, I can push them manually. Going to break up the scenery a little bit more on this back wall by adding a tunnel leaving Cheyenne. Yeah, it wasn't there, I know, but it'll allow me just to break up the back of my rather tall backdrop here that'll go in Cheyenne. Let's see, let's move around to where I've been dabbling in making mountains out of resin castings, the Bragdon method. I've been doing some adding of layers of styrofoam for the Hermosa tunnels, and since I have tortoises to control, I'm making a pull-out hills leaving there. This is all one big giant pull-out, so I can get access to the tortoises that control Laramie on the other side. Done some more plastering here in preparation for putting some rocks in. I've added a coal ramp to Fort Collins, which is the way they didn't have a coaling tower right downtown. They had a ramp there, and they basically augered it into the steamers. I go by a granite here. I've actually redone the tracks. Originally, the loading facility was over here, and it was unfortunately out of reach. So anytime you wanted to put loads in or anything, and if you derailed, it would be a pain in the butt. So I've moved it over so you have access to all the tracks while you're in the pit. That's the first of hopefully not very many track relocations. Been working out the kinks. The 4 operating sessions are a lot of it to give me feedback on all the humps and bumps I need to change. So down here at Sherman, I've started doing the rocks. These are the castings that I've done so far. I haven't painted anything. They've just had a coat of gesso, and so they'll be getting a little bit more. Starting down, I can only do 2 or 3 of these molds a day. It drives me crazy because it takes about 30 minutes to do one casting. We got the Y in. I think I've shown that previously. That's the Y to turn helpers at Sherman. And this is my casting table. Here are a couple of the molds that have been prepped. There's a mold release and then a white lacquer put on so that the resin has some sort of color to it when it comes out of the mold. And I've got a whole stack of molds that I borrowed from the club that I'm using. Okay, what else we got? I got a temporary rack up here for holding controllers until I figure out what I want to do on the fascia as far as to hold them. I'm set up in here now with my JMRI, and this is my programming track, which is just an extension off of Torrington. And if I've got both systems on, I can come in and check the locomotive, test it, and then run it back out onto the regular system in here. One of the other biggest changes is I've started putting in the back drop of all of the staging yards, as well as all these top fascias. I now have to get the ceilings in, and that way I've got about 8 rolls of LED strip lights still to put in once I get these all finished. All of the top fascias are in. They just need to be sanded up and painted. And not too much activity over here other than I have designated all of my places for beet dumps and coal and everything, and started to make little holders for where the beets and the coal and stuff goes. I still haven't put them in for the mines for the CB&Q, and then over here the UP coal and the other coal that I have labeled out. I've finished my design for Boulder, but it's not going to be the Valmont power plant like I had in mind. I just don't have enough space, so I'm going to be putting a co-op. Comes off the track, and it has a runaround track, and then it also has access to the back track, which is the CB&Q line, and then there will be just a stub-ended track off the CB&Q, which will come to a Purina Chow place or some other product just to service. And then we're in the back. I've been testing a couple things of paint to see what I want to put in the backdrops. And I'm finding that this is the same color of paint on the front fascia and the back fascia. It's just the intensity of the LED lights for both make it darker here in front. Don't know what I'm going to do about that, if anything, or if I'm just going to leave it as is. This is also the same paint in the back here I'm testing. And as you can see, I've just about got the start of the last of the backdrops on the back side. And a few more to go on the front side. And we're in. All of the 8 control panels for the staging yards are all in. They're not lettered or numbered. And the faces haven't been put on, but everything is operational for setting my track ladders. Next thing to come, which will be again this fall probably, is to start wiring up the LEDs that are already on the board. Okay, I think that's about everything that's been going on. I'll sign off and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.